Hi, my name's Samuel Findlay, and you're listening to the ACES podcast. In this episode, I chat with Postdoctoral Research Fellow at Swinburne University of Technology, Lilith Caballero. We chat about her PhD project and experience with ACES, how she became interested in science, women in STEM, her interests outside of research, and much more. So, let's get to our conversation. So I'm chatting with Lilith on today's podcast. Lilith, thanks for joining me.
Hi, Sam.
So how's life for you right now? Obviously, COVID-19 is keeping us all at home. I'm sure that going into the labs has become a little bit tougher for yourself. How are you doing?
So far it's going good. I'm actually keeping myself pretty busy. I didn't realize how many things I had to be done, at home, like as in to write things, to analyze some data and so on. And it's not until like you really sit down and start looking at other things you've left for later that you realize that you have actually a pretty long list of things to do. So I've been keeping myself pretty busy. Yeah. Obviously,
Cool.
I miss the lab as well,
I bet. Do you go in at all to the labs at the moment?
Actually, I started going this week after I think a month and a half that I've been working from home. And I had to ask for special permission to go in. I'm only allowed to go 3 days a week, and just for a very short period of time. So, but I guess as a researcher, you always have to do a bit of lab work at some point. So, yeah, it's necessary, I think, to keep going with the research. So I'm trying to do as much as I can in the time that I got, and basically try to follow all the guidelines for this situation as well. So yeah.
All right. Well, let's get into your PhD experience to begin with, which you did at Swinburne University, working at Biofab, I believe. What was your project?
So my project was looking at drug delivery systems. So I was developing some materials that could deliver growth factors to drive cellular differentiation into cartilage. So I was part of the cartilage team at Biofab. So that was pretty much the PhD, 3 years of my life.
Yeah. And you did your undergrad in Mexico. That's where you're from, correct?
Yeah, that's correct. Yep.
What did you do for your undergraduate degree?
I did physics engineering, actually. That was fun. 5 years of pure fun.
And then to Belgium for your master's?
Yeah, that's correct. Then I jumped to Europe, to Belgium, to do biomedical engineering master's. So that was a pretty tough 2 years, very intense learning experience. But I really enjoyed it as well. Obviously, you keep learning and learning as it goes, as life continues. So yeah, it's been a fun ride, I guess.
So how did that opportunity to come to Australia to study at Swinburne come about after your master's?
When I was, I think, during the last 6 months of the master's, I started looking for a PhD, and I was particularly interested in the tissue engineering field, and I wanted to do something related to 3D printing, but also to drug delivery as well. So I wanted to merge those, and I was pretty much looking for a specific project or someone that could supervise me, someone that could help me to carry a project in such field. And I was lucky enough to find a position advertised by my supervisor, Simon Moulton. And the project was like fitting perfectly what I wanted to do. So I applied for it, and a couple of months later, he told me, "Oh, you're in the shortlist. You just have to follow these steps," which was pretty fun. Actually involved a YouTube video, a 5 minutes YouTube video presentation of my project and myself and so on. So that was pretty fun to do as well. I practiced a lot of times until I got it right. And then I sent to him. And so after, I don't know, a couple of, maybe like a week or something, he told me, oh, congratulations, you got the position. And yeah, so I started preparing myself to come here to Australia.
So were you always interested in science when you were younger before deciding to do that as your undergraduate degree and your first way of study?
Yeah, like when I got to, I guess it's year 12 that you have to choose your path, you know. I was in between choosing physics or going for literature. Actually, I really enjoy writing in Spanish. So yeah, I really enjoy to write poetry. Actually, so that was my two options, I guess.
Is that something you still do today?
A fair bit, but like I don't have much free time, honestly.
Yeah, I'm
pretty busy. But you know, time to time, when I feel a bit inspired, and yeah. So that's basically how I decided to go into science. I always wanted to, I don't know. I guess it all started from my interest in maths, I guess. Mm-hmm. And then once I discovered that you can actually use maths to describe the world, describe things, well, like in physics, I totally fell for it. I was like, oh, this is super nice to be able to describe the natural world in equations. So that's how I started to like physics, and I decided to go into physics. That was the beginning of everything, I guess.
Yeah. So you've had a pretty successful research career so far, particularly with ACES. You know, you won certain awards and grants, such as a Research Endowment Fund grant last year for your project fabrication. I don't even know how to pronounce it. Chrondogenic hydrogel for in situ 3D printing. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Thank you. I guess what would be the highlight of your research career so far? Obviously, you know, you're just sort of starting out because you've finished your PhD more recently, but what would you say would be your highlight so far?
Oh, wow. That's a tough question. Well, something I've really enjoyed from the PhD, I guess, it was actually to be part of ACES. That was pretty nice. I really enjoyed meeting people that had common interest, but working in different paths, in different projects, and then being able to meet them every couple of months or to catch up every now and then. That was very nice. I really enjoyed that, I guess, networking opportunity that ACES gave me during the PhD. So I think that's a big highlight for me. In terms of research, I'm definitely happy about publications and a couple of grants that I got as well. Definitely very, very happy, and of course very grateful with my supervisor and everyone that helped me achieving that, actually. Yeah.
So you've also been quite vocal speaking up about, you know, women working in science, you know, for International Women's Day and whatnot. I guess, how have you found being a woman in science?
I guess here in Australia is slightly different than in Mexico. In Mexico, definitely you can see the big gap in between the numbers of women in science. Here in Australia, they're working towards making it, I guess, better, and you can actually see that, and I'm very happy about that. actually got some great male and female colleagues. So yeah, I kind of feel that this women representation it's definitely increasing on these days. So I'm very happy about that actually.
I remember when I came down to visit you at Biofab a couple of years ago when I sort of first started out with ACES, you had this amazing pink lab coat. Do you still have that today?
Yes, and I got a purple one as well.
Oh, very good.
Yes, thinking I'm getting a yellow one as well. Just I like colors. Why not?
Add it to the collection.
Exactly.
So as I mentioned earlier, you've more recently finished your PhD. How has life been post submitting your thesis?
Well, it's actually been pretty busy. Like I thought actually, so I'm doing a postdoc right now, which is part continue on my project of the PhD, and the other half is on a new project related to drug delivery for pancreatic cancer. And that's been pretty busy, like both projects at the same time, to manage both at the same time. It's been actually quite challenging, but actually very rewarding as well. So it has kept me very, very busy. So I thought the postdoc life would be a bit less intense than the PhD, but it's not. It's actually like the third year of the PhD, when you have your thesis and when you have experiments and it's all a rush. It's like that, but like permanently. You just get used to that.
And you're still based at Biofab in St. Vincent's Hospital now?
Yes, so I'm still working at Biofab. I really enjoy it there. It's a great space.
How have you found working there? I mean, I've visited there a few times. It's quite a cool little laboratory and space, I guess. It's not all that big, but I found it to be quite a cool space.
Yeah, definitely. It's little hub. It gathers a lot of universities and a lot of students that come from different places to do different things, like either PhD projects or masters or just for internships. So everyone comes from slightly different background in terms of careers. So it's very interesting how everything comes in together in a space that is not, as you say, super big. It's actually quite small lab. So it gets very interactive. I really enjoy that everything is connected. So all the labs, they sort of like are in a single space. So you can just jump from one lab to the other without need to change building or anything. So that's pretty nice as well. We have great coffee too. So that's a pretty important part. Like the conversations we have at Biofab, sometimes just during lunch or just over a coffee, it's really, really diverse. And in terms of research, you could be talking with someone that is a clinician and also at the same time someone that has a biology background and an engineering front. So it's really, I guess, interdisciplinary. And that's very cool, I think.
So let's just talk a little bit about life outside of work, I guess. And you mentioned coffee just there. I know you're a bit of a foodie, much like myself. We've had conversations about this before, but what do you like to do outside of work?
That's a tough one. I actually like very much to go to try new restaurants. I'm a big foodie. Obviously nowadays is quite difficult because of the situation, but I've been into baking very unsuccessfully. But I've been trying, and then other cooking. So I really like doing that, and also like going for hikings as well when it's when we could go for hikings before this. So that's my life outside work as well.
What was the most recent thing you baked?
I tried to make a cake, um, and of course, I didn't go for the basic recipe. I went for the 3 steps cake
Yeah.
that turns out half. Yeah, it wasn't very good, but I don't give up. I will try this
Persistence
weekend
is key.
again. I will keep trying.
So, something I've asked everyone that I've had on the podcast is whether or not they have a morning routine or something they do every single day that helps them approach a day ahead. Is there something you implement every single day?
Yes, actually. Well, first of all, I try not to, to continue doing pretty much what I was doing before the quarantine. So basically, to keep the routine going. So I still wake up every morning, dress up, do my makeup, take my coffee, and then or have a shower, take a coffee, and then straight to work. So I try to keep that to start at 9 a.m. every morning. Just I think if you start like losing the routine, then you start getting lazy and you don't get things done. So I've been trying to keep it pretty consistent. So far it's been successful. Yeah.
Great. So, I mean, you touched on this earlier. I was going to ask you, if you weren't doing research for a living, what would you be doing? So would it be you'd be a writer or a poet?
Yes, probably. But sometimes I think about it and I say, well, I actually could do something that doesn't involve I guess something that requires different kind of skills, so maybe my baking skills could develop. But as I said before, probably is not the best idea.
Hey, practice makes perfect.
Yeah.
All right. Well, just to sort of finish up, as I mentioned, you've just finished your PhD. So I'm wondering if you could give some advice for current PhD students or those who are just starting out.
Yes. I think it's very important to enjoy the PhD experience. So all the ups and downs, everything, just to enjoy it as it goes. Also to take every opportunity. Like, didn't realize actually how many things are provided by the university, and that sometimes, because we're busy doing research in the PhD, we don't really take advantage of it. And I think that's something really important. Also, if you're a PhD student and you're hearing this podcast, just subscribe to all the memberships you can, all the conferences you can as a student, because once you finish that, you start paying as non-student. And and the difference in price is considerable. So just get all your memberships as student.
Some great advice there. Well, thanks so much for the chat, Lilith. It's been great to talk as always, and all the best with the whole COVID situation. Stay safe and look after yourself.
Thank you, Sam.
Thanks for listening to the ACES podcast. For more episodes like this one, be sure to subscribe wherever it is you get your podcasts. You can also find more information about ACES on our website, electromaterials.edu.au. There you'll find links to our various social media platforms. And you can also follow me on Twitter, @Samuel Findlay. Until next time, thanks for listening.